everybody. This is late afternoon, and today I'm going to talk about the mints. And there's a lot to mints, and what we have down here in this little patch is a special cultivar of mint called Moroccan Mint, and it happens to have a very strong aromatic smell, and I can smell it just by sitting here. So mints are a little complex, because what mints like to do is join each other and cross-pollinate and become hybrids. So I'll tell you about that in a sec. But the mint family is called the Lamiaceae family. And there are certain characteristics that all mint family members have, regardless of the type or the species. And they have square stems and opposite leaves. So we'll talk about that soon. Just back to the family itself, there's so many common members of the mint family other than the different kinds of mints. There's hyssop, there's rosemary, lavender, lemon balm, even horehound, motherwort. So many different kinds of plants in the mint family. And when you're out in the wild, they're very easy to recognize anything in a mint. And so this Moroccan mint, if we come down here and look at it close up, find one here that might be easy to see. Okay, so the first thing I want you to notice that's very recognizable about this mint is the stem. And it has a square stem. If you touch one side and then the other, you'll see that there are very definite lines demarcating each of the four sides of the square of the stem. So a square stem is almost a dead giveaway for a mint. The other thing it has is opposite leaves. So these leaves are opposite each other all the way up the stem, and you can see them coming out in pairs, like so. Now, a lot of other plant families have opposite leaves, but so you're looking for a few key things. So for mints, for mint family plants, you're looking for opposite leaves and square stems. And an old-fashioned name for the mint family, Lamiaceae, is the lip flower family. And the flowers are very teeny tiny, and they're fused. And they have 2 upper lips and 3 lower lips. And sometimes they're so small you have to look at them through a magnifying glass. But they're very recognizable once you see them. So, fused flower, 2 upper lips, 3 lower lips, square stem, and opposite leaves. So those are pretty fail-safe characteristics of the mint family. Now, Moroccan mint, which is what I have here, is one of my favorites because it's so aromatic and delicious. And Moroccan mint is a cross between, well, there's a mint. First of all, mint stands for menthol or mentha. Mentha means menthol. And you know that any, like Vicks Vapor Rub has menthol in it. So it's very aromatic, and when you take a smell of it, it opens up the airway. So that's one of the characteristics of the mints. They open the airway because of their aromatic quality to them. And so that's something to remember. So mentha means menthol. And then you have different kinds of mints. You have like mentha spicata, for instance. Spicata is spearmint, spicata spearmint. You have pepperita, mentha pepperita. Pepperita means peppermint. You have mentha arvense, which means field or field mint. And you even have a water mint, mentha aquatica. You have mints from different countries. Mentha canadensis from Canada. And there's even one menthis, I believe, Australia, from Australia, and so on. So these different mints are named to identify them and talk about what they look like. But then I told you that mints like to crossbreed, and it's very easy to get crosses in mints. It happens naturally. You don't have to clone plants or graft anything together. So one very common variation is mentha x pepperita. So mentha x pepperita is a cross between water mint and spearmint. Water mint, spicata and aquatica. Water and spear. So you get mentha x pepperita. And then within this cross variation, and the way they write that, by the way, is when you see it written, if you see something that says mentha with an X and then pepperita, you know it's a cross. And so that's what's going on here with the with this. This is Moroccan mint. So it's a cross. It's mentha x pepperita, but then in addition to that, it is Moroccan mint. So it's a special variety of mentha x pepperita. And Moroccan mint is just a lovely plant, as you can see. I keep saying that over and over. I'm very attached to it. I dry it every year. I dry the leaves and I store it for winter tea. And that brings me to what it's used for. So it's wonderful in a tea. The menthol in it makes it very aromatic. And so it opens up the airways. So when would you use that? You use that when you have a cold or a flu or something like that. Or when your airways clogged or you got phlegm in there and you can't breathe very well. You can have a peppermint tea. Or you can also do a steam and put it in a pot of water and let it simmer for a minute, take it off the stove, put it down on a hot plate with a towel over your head, and breathe in the vapors, the menthol. And that's called a steam. That's another way to use it. So it's very good for the respiratory system. Another thing that mints are also great for tummy aches. So they work very well. They're very, they're stimulating, and they move stuck food in the stomach, and they get things moving. So they're very, very nice for stomach aches. So they're used, the main two body systems is respiratory and the stomach. They've also been used to dry up milk because milk is very, the plant is very drying and stimulating. So it can dry up mother's milk. So one thing you don't want to do is if you're trying to breastfeed, you don't want to have mint because it will do the wrong thing. So it does have very many uses, and it's quite strong. So it is considered a medium strength herb. So this mint is, you have to watch out for children. You don't want to use it for children under 6 years old because sometimes it's too stimulating for them. It can even make them gag and maybe have trouble breathing. So stay away from it with kids. And also because it's so stimulating, if someone is an epileptic, you want to stay clear of it. And it also stimulates the uterus, so you don't want to use it for pregnant women. So nursing mothers and pregnancy, you don't use mint. I want to show you a couple pictures. of the mint flower. This is the book I always go to, Mary O'Brien and Karen Vale's Edible and Medicinal Plants of the Southern Rockies. And here you have a close-up of field mint. And notice these tiny flowers I was talking about. They're usually purple or a little bit white. And they have 2 lips up and 3 lips down. And they're very, very tiny, and they grow in a little circle like this. It's called a whorl, usually in between the paired leaves. They also have a top part to them, and I'll show you in another book. So just a minute, I'm going to change. Here's this one. Here's the field mint, Mentha arvans. And from another really good book called Botany in a Day, I want to show you some pictures of the mints again. Here are some mint family plants. This one in the middle here is called giant hyssop, and I'm showing you hyssop because it's showing you the spiky flowers that occur on the ends. And then I showed you a picture in the other book of some of the flowers that occur between the paired leaves. So in this book, mint flower examples, this one's horehound, skullcap. This one's called water mint, and this one has more of the world leaf, the world pattern of the flowers. This one is motherwort, blood sage, and even wild bergamot or bee balm is another mint family plant. So, but the thing they all have in common is the square stem, the opposite leaves, a similar flower arrangement, and they're very aromatic and have a wonderful smell. So I hope you enjoy learning about mints today, and what I'm going to do in a little while, well, not a little while, but at the end of the season, I'm going to pick this mint and dry it because guess what? It'll come up next year. So mint just spreads like crazy. And the other thing I didn't mention, where I'm sitting against a wall, a brick wall here, and I'm facing east. And this is a very wet area, and mints love wet, cool places. So you'll often find them in a place like this. This is a drain pipe, this black thing here. And you'll see it down by streams, places that are moist and cool. And here's a lovely mint leaf that I'm showing you. And of course, I gotta take a little bit and taste that wonderful aromatic minty taste. Oh, I also told you there's chocolate mint too, if you've ever heard of that. That's another hybrid mint. So they love to cross-pollinate, and they're wonderful plants to know about. But just be careful, you can't use them. Oh, and one other thing, the essential oils of mint, you have to be very careful with putting it on the skin. Some people are sensitive to it, and you wouldn't take essential oil and put it on baby's skin because usually they're too sensitive for that. So beware, but enjoy. Thank you very much.